Welcome to VSN's Flag Football Podcast, sponsored by InnerCare. Welcome back. I'm Will Torrez, and we're here to talk about this week's standings when it comes down to girls flag football here in Imperial Valley. We have one team that's standing out, got a close follow-up in second, and then I'm going to talk about a team that's probably going to surprise some people. Might not look like it, but they're going to surprise some people. So let's start off with the league standings right now. Today is Wednesday afternoon. We're waiting for two games to finish out. That would be the Calexico Imperial game and the Southwest Hopeville game. With that said, I'm going to start off right away with Hopeville. Hopeville, I would have to say, is one of the most improved teams that I have seen. They're 0-2. They're 0-2. That's, don't let that fool you. They are actually pretty good. Every year, you're supposed to get better. But if you go back, when it first started, everybody was green. And it looks like Hopeville just kind of was maybe half a season behind. But Coach Navarro, this year, it really shows. You got Maddie Price. She's, on the offensive side, catching the ball, and then you got Kaydence. She's only a junior and at quarterback, and she's just, I think that's maybe the biggest part right there. Kaydence, she's just a playmaker. And then, and they're kind of young. You got Emma on the defensive side. Tonight's a big game for them. They're playing Southwest. In the morning, we'll have some updates for you. As of right now, Southwest is actually 0-1 and Hopeville's 0-2. But today, one of them is going to have a victory on their column, and the other one's going to have a loss. It'll be a tough game. Speaking of tough game, let's go straight and talk about Southwest Eagles. Coach Raul Granada has got this team. There's one thing to say about every coach here in flag football. Don't let that fool you that this is your regular girls flag football, touch, two-hand. No, this game is actually getting more physical every year. Every year this game's getting more physical. Like I said earlier, right now, Southwest Eagles, they're, facing the Hopeville Vikings. And as we said earlier, they're going to, one of these teams is going to have a win on their side. Now, interesting thing, I got to see them play last week against Indio. Now, Indio did score on a fluke, tip pass, bounce around twice, and the Indio receiver caught it in the end zone. They were in the red zone when they threw it, so you call that lucky? I don't know. Lucky or not, you're still down by a score, right? And Southwest had to catch up the whole game. In fact, at one time they were down by 2 scores. Southwest did a very good job catching up. They looked to be a better team athletically, and I'm going, wait a minute. I felt they could have taken the Indio Rajas last week. And we let that game go, covered that game. And Monday night, when I heard the score was, I believe it was 14-12, Southwest over the Calexico Bulldogs at halftime. Now, Calexico did come back and win, but my point is, Southwest is pretty good. They are good. They're a good team. They just, the one time they started off with that Southwest tournament, which was a great thing. It was a lot of games in 4 days, but you got to see the talent during that whole tournament, which was good. So Coach Raul's doing a good job also. I don't expect them to climb all the way to the top 3. I don't know. I think they're going to be teeter-tottering after that. They're going to be teeter-tottering, but they're a good team. They just got to go and execute it. I feel they're going to be a good team. Between them and Hopeville, it's going to be very interesting what comes up tonight with them. So moving on to some other teams right now, we're going to talk about El Centro Spartans. When you talk about the Spartans, flag football, tackle football, and all their sports, you always got to include them all the time, every time, to always be up on top. And Coach Mitchell's is no different than the rest of every other program at Central Spartans. Now, they're also one of the teams without a win in their column right now. They're 0-2 in league. And, they've beaten Hopeville 30-2. And like we already talked about Hopeville, that was just and that just goes to show you how good El Centro is. And, but they did have a loss, back in August 19th, where Vincent Memorial, one of the top teams here in Imperial Valley, where they lost 12-59. The one that did surprise me was the Calexico loss. Not that Calexico should not have won that game. I just felt that El Centro probably could have put more points on the board, and that game should have been a lot closer. So I've only seen them once this season, so I'm curious to see what they're all about. And I also know that Brawley's pretty good for Central to blank them out. Kind of surprising. So we'll see what Central has to do on their upcoming schedule. They're going to be playing next Monday on the 15th at Southwest. That's actually going to be a really good game. That's really going to tell probably their own city championship game in flag football, but that's going to be really interesting. That's going to carry a lot of weight, the winner of that game. So that's going to be really interesting to see. Next up, we're going to go to the Brawley Wildcats. Coach J.J. Galvan. Every coach I've talked about and that I will talk about, they take this very serious. A lot of these coaches played at their high school they're representing them, or at least played there. And that's always a good thing to see. So I could see coaches losing sleep, getting up early, what they could have, done different, especially after a key loss. And Brawley's no stranger to that. Coach Galvan's got his team at 1-1 right now. They played back-to-back on this past Monday and Tuesday, where they were able to pull away a win at El Centro, and a win that was pretty decisive in a 26-0 victory. But here's the thing. On Monday, they had a home game at Imperial. That would have been the fourth game of the year where the Brawley Wildcats have faced the Tigers. Odd enough, Tigers came into that game. They were 3-0 against the Wildcats, but this Monday night's game was going to be a league game. So I thought it was going to be a little bit tighter than that. I really thought that the Brawley girls, led by Demi Conejo and Montoya, and then their speedster, JC Reeves. I mean, that trio right there is really something. I mean, they got speed, energy, stamina. I mean, they're just ready to go. And their quarterback's only a sophomore. She's a playmaker herself. I saw her on the JV team last year, and she's improved her technique quite a bit compared to last year. Just, she's a sophomore, new sport, but she is an athlete. So going back to these Wildcats, 1-1, we said it's really frustrating to play a team the fourth time, and they come out with the win. The Imperial Tigers came down to Warren Field and walked away with the 26-6 victory. We're going to get into the Tigers a little bit. One of the top two teams that I'm going to talk about a little bit more, the Tigers. That game, like I said earlier, I thought was going to be a lot closer. But Tigers rolled into town with a good attitude and left even with a better attitude. So what are we going to see out of Brawley? They're going to regroup. Okay, they beat Central, we said earlier, 26-0. Hopeville's going to give them a test, but it's at home, so that's going to be a good thing. The Southwest game is also going to be at home, and that's going to be on the 17th next Wednesday, so that's going to be pretty good. The game to have circled on your calendar might be September 29th when Calexico visits the Wildcats. And that's also going to be a league game. And by then, the records might have changed a little bit because it's still early in the season. But that's going to be a really interesting game to watch. It's one of the games we're going to for sure cover. So circle that in your calendar, and it should be a great game to watch. As we move on to Calexico Bulldogs. Now, this I will say about Calexico Bulldogs. This is one thing that I find interesting. Now, they have a very good record. They do. They have a good record. They're 6-0 altogether. And then in league, like we said, they're the top team right now as we speak, being 2-0. Now, the thing is, with the record, I get it. 2-0 record in league. Okay, that's normal. But for them only having played 6 games compared to Imperial having played, 12 plus, Vincent Memorial 10 plus, Brawley 15 plus, and then your Southwest games, 9, Central 10, and Hopeville 12 games. Those are total games that every other team has played. Now, is that going to hurt them? Okay, I think it's going to not so much hurt them, but it's going to come into play. And I think we saw that when El Centro went down and visited the Bulldogs at Warren Field and were leading actually at halftime. So, and that's just for not having playing time. But the talent's there. The talent is there. The talent is there, right? You have a couple of girls that have paid for the Bad Rabbits this past offseason that excelled in flag football across the nation, starting with Maddie Montes. So we expect Maddie Montes to be that playmaker type of person that she is. And she needs to be, and possibly is, that leader of that team on there. And now they got the Ortiz at quarterback. She's another slinger, and she's been there since day one, since flag football started. So between Montes and Ortiz, they're the girls that are going to be the backbone of that Calexico Bulldog flag football team. Now they just got to keep doing it. They just got to keep moving forward. They're 2-0. They can't let anybody come in there into their field and take anything away. Now, there is a very good game going on right now, Wednesday night as we speak, and Imperial is over there visiting. Imperial is over there visiting right now. We'll have an updated score in the morning. But that's going to tell you 2 things. That's going to let you know where Calexico is and what it has to do. If they beat Imperial, they got to keep, that's a good formula. Then they're just going to have to keep going and keep playing. But if Imperial goes over there and just rolls over them, Calexico Bulldogs and their fans, they're going to depend on them. They're the most veteran players out there, and they're just going to have that outcome. It's going to be a telltale of what's to happen and, moving on with the season further down the road. So I'm really interested on the final of that game right there. Next up, we are going to have Vincent Memorial. When you talk about Vincent Memorial, I mean, you have some talent there, not just local talent. These girls excel across the nation. You have Jessica Manriquez. You got Cervantes, Azul Trujillo. How can you forget about, those girls? They're all over the internet. They're all over social media. They've been excelling at the next level because these girls have taken their talent across the nation and really excelled and really showcased themselves. So, I mean, those girls, they might be setting the bar. They might be setting the bar down there. And that's going to be the difference when it comes down to the end of the season. But it's going to be the biggest difference when it comes down to playoff time. Now we'll talk about playoff times a little bit today, but I do want to get into that subject a little bit more later on. The format's going to be different. I think they're going to have 3 divisions in flag football. I'm not certain about that, but that's what it looks like. It's going to be curious what their record is. Not just Vincent Memorial, but everybody's record and how they divide them and who goes in, when you start taking 130 plus teams and then you separate them into 3 categories, see who makes the playoffs. That's going to be really interesting. But I'm just glad they expanded the divisions to 3 because the first 2 years were just 2 divisions in each one. As far as Vincent Memorial goes on their schedule, they've beaten teams from the Valley just phenomenal, 59-12 Central. And there's one thing about Vincent. When they're up in a lead, they don't take their foot off the pedal. They have one speed, and that's full blast. That's just the way they are. That's the way their mentality is. They're always go, 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 go. And I kind of like it, to be honest with you. I really do. Central put up 13 points against them, 34-13, last week. So a team to circle on the calendar for them is going to be at Imperial, and that's going to be this coming Monday when the Vincent Memorial visit the Imperial Tigers at Shimamoto Simpson Field, which is probably going to be the game that was canceled which is probably a loss for whatever reason. Vincent Memorial couldn't make it when they were supposed to play August the 19th. So they haven't played Imperial yet, like a lot of other teams. For instance, Raleigh, like we said earlier, has now played Imperial 4 times. I think Vincent Memorial Scots are just going to light it up. I just have a feeling they are going to light it up. They're going to go right through league. This Imperial game coming up is going to be tough. And then I know that they'll have to face, Imperial at home later on in the season. And that could determine the league because, between Imperial and Vincent Memorial Scots, they are the top teams up there. They are the top team. Even, Vincent Memorial's record is only 0-1, and they're down the record, but that's only because of the games played. I don't see them losing, if any, more than 1 games. I mean, that Imperial game is going to be tough. That Imperial game is that's going to be something to watch. It's going to be at Imperial, so I just want to remind everybody, it's going to be a league game, and I do believe that's going to set the tone. So we're going to go to our last team now, the Imperial Tigers. Coach Shaw, Coach Cruz, they know what they're doing. Not that anybody else doesn't, but when you talk about coaches that, since playing high school ball, moving up into the tackle football coaching atmosphere and still in it, and then you jump right into the flag football. I mean, they're going to be called pioneers. Every one of these coaches are going to be pioneers years from now when they talk about flag. Now, as we said earlier, when we talk about the Tigers, they have faced Brawley 4 times. They've come out victorious every 4 times. Every time they have played the Wildcats this year, they are 4-0 against them. They're 2-0 in league. And this week's player of the game, when we start talking about the athletes on there, Helm. And I was wondering why I didn't see her last year. Reason being, she's only a freshman. And this girl is standout athlete. As a freshman, she's playing like an upperclassman. And then you have the veteran, Barone. I mean, she's just steady. Her mechanics, she looks legit. You can tell this girl's been working on her form, her mechanics, her passing game, and just the knowledge of the game. She's just done excellent. And then for the last couple of years, Clarissa Davila, on the defensive side, she's the same player as Imperial has on the offense as we would call on the defense, playmaker style. That's just what she does on the defensive side of the ball. But there's one player that if you let her get her hands on the ball, she's going to hurt you, whether it's on the defensive side or on the offensive side. That's Addison Clark. This girl, there is no in-between speed. This girl is just as fast as when she has control of the ball till when she gets tackled. She is so quick and so fast. This girl is just fun to watch. And she's only a junior too. So, I mean, she was good to be when the first year, I remember the first year, I go, who is this girl? You get to know these girls and you see how athletic they are. And since day one, I've been watching her. She's a playmaker. And like I said, she's only a junior. So this girl is going to be a standout girl. As she is already now. So, I mean, great things we're going to see out of that. So, that's just some of the things. I do think Imperial right now is teeter-tottering with Vincent Memorial. And next week they do face Vincent Memorial. But whoever wins that game, it can't be. There's no way that that's going to be a blowout score anyway. So I think the defense is going to be key in stopping that Imperial offense. Same thing said for that Scots offense. So I think defense is going to be the key. So you have people like Regan Ray on the defensive side for the Tigers, and on the offensive side for the Scots, you got that powerhouse offense that they have a little bit of moxie. They walk around like, hey, we've been there. We know what it's like. We know what it's like to go against big teams. out of county during the off season and all that. That's what I mean by that. But yeah, I think out of all the games in Imperial Valley coming up, I do believe it's a must watch to see that Imperial Tigers hosting the Vincent Memorial Scott. Flag football, if you haven't had a chance, the weather is beautiful now. Go out there, support your local high school, and go check out these flag football games. They're physical, believe it or not. They're pretty physical, and I see a lot of things happening in the future in this sport. I see flag football in itself getting more physical. We got to quit adding so many rules changes every year. It's just too much. It's hard enough for the refs and the coaches to keep up, but what about the fans that don't even get that information? So I'd like to see less rule changes every year and more mandatory protective gear. I know Imperial, they came out. I saw them earlier this week. They came out all in their tiger red headbands. I thought that's just a great safety feature. I think that should be implemented as a mandatory safety feature on all the players. The way this sport's getting with the physical contact, I think it's going to be down the road. It might be mandatory to have that. So that's something to see. Maybe some type of vest. I don't know. But something needs to be done. These girls are getting really physical. In fact, I talked to a coach here in the Valley, and he said that the difference, him taking his team to San Diego, traveling up there early in the season and playing game was the reason they liked that. I mean, I think the Wildcats had played up there 5 games against San Diego teams. And I go, well, what's the biggest difference, Jay? I mean, you always talk about speed and you always talk about size. Now, speed's going to hurt you a lot in both tackle and flag football, but size is going to be different, because you still got to have good hands with size. But he said that the physical part was the biggest difference, and that's what's going to help them out the most when it comes down to the league, as we are right now, finishing the league and in the playoffs. Depends where they get placed in CIF, but that is going to be the difference. And it could possibly be, Coach Jay was telling me that maybe the teams aren't adapted to everybody's style, where like some teams are more physical. And not that the other ones are not physical. I just believe that the way the game is being called, like I said, that has a lot to do with, I believe, the rule changes. Because when it comes to a referee calling a game, like some will let you do a little bit more pushing than others. But let's just say, for instance, in San Diego, it's allowed more pushing off, more blocking, more moving screens. Everybody gets used to it and they play that style. And if they hold back a little bit more in Imperial Valley, it's going to make a difference when you go into the playoffs. But that conversation is for another time. So some good matchups coming up. It's down to league right now. I just want to thank everybody that's helped out here at VSN in this flag football, all the coaches. Appreciate all the coaches in flag football. The communication is great. I have good rapport with them. It's fun covering them. It's always been it's pretty cool sport to watch. We'd like to thank Intercare for providing us the opportunity to showcase girls flag football here in Imperial Valley. I'd like to thank Yvonne Bell from Intercare. We're going to take a break now. A word from our sponsor, Intercare.
Looking for compassionate, community-focused healthcare? Discover Intercare, a private nonprofit bringing comprehensive primary and specialty care to families across Imperial and Riverside counties. Our clinics have you covered. Call to schedule an appointment today. Intercare, making life healthy from the inside out. Learn more at intercare.org.
This is Will Torrez, Flag Football Podcast. We'll see you next week. We got some good stuff coming up.